Live from virtual Nashville, Tennessee, we welcome race fans one and all to yet another installment of the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series. My name is Dylan Rempel, and I have got none other than Terry Radford beside me in the broadcast booth with Connor Maddock down behind the cameras for tonight's race. Tonight, it is far from a traditional race. It's all-star race time. And we are here at the Nashville Fairground Speedway, where a beautiful half-mile oval, well, I should say 6/10 of a mile oval, will await us for what should be a very thrilling 150 laps of racing action tonight. So, Terry, as we get set to launch ourselves into the 2022 All-Star Race, you've expressed it before that you're a big fan of this track. Why don't you tell us some of the things that might be key to look out for, and what could be the key to winning this race?
Nothing's better than an all-star race in your hometown at your home track. I grew up 5 miles from this circuit. You could hear them bad boys ripping into turn 1 when the super late models and all those guys came out here and raced. You could see the lights when the wrestling shows happen at the fairgrounds, when you had people like Ricky Steamboat, Ric Flair, who fight in July for their final matches ever. But turn 3 is going to be the place to be if you're here on this track tonight. All-star race, turn 3, setting your opponent up to come off the exit of turn 3 or come through 4 and put the bumper to them. And if you get there, well, you're going to walk away with a prize.
As you can see, qualifying currently underway, and yes, your eyes do not deceive you. It is open qualifying night here at the fairgrounds. That is, of course, by design. We mentioned that this race is not at all similar to how the points races are run. And, well, here are some of the things to look out for here tonight. It might be a bit of a small grid for the 50-lap sprint race of the night, where the top 10 will be joining the current 13 that have already been set aside to race in the actual race of 100 laps at the same venue in just a short while. Drivers that were already locked into that feature race are drivers that have won RSR Full Throttle Cup Series points races within the last 2 years, as well as past All-Star race winners within the last 2 years that were not already locked in. So the drivers that are locked in are Andrew Freenage, Matt Danson, Daniel Eberhardt, Brandon Bowie, Brandon Six, Agdell Phillip, Kevin King, Connor Horn, Liam Sheen, Sean Casto, Brian Chambliss, Jeremy Miller, and Kyle Trudell. Every other driver out here on track will be needing to race their way into the 100-lap feature in a 50-lap sprint so far tonight, and it will be the top 10 to join those current 13 up in the feature.
Yeah, man, and the GOAT himself, Evan P's out there watching. It's pretty awesome to see him. I know he's controlling things behind the scenes, but we get to call some dang good action when I watched the drivers get to voting in there, and I saw that the fairgrounds was on this. I said, what a show! I get to work all day and come home and call this. This is going to be a knockdown, drag out, a slobber knocker to the end. These drivers want to get in. I believe we advanced 10. We advanced 10 in, so 4's going home. 4's going to go back to the couch. Hopefully tune into Race Spot and sit here and watch me and you call a 100-lap feature where, hey, bragging rights on the line here this evening, and I can't wait to see somebody I want to see somebody getting a fist fight out here.
20 seconds on the clock, and I have a feeling that some of these times might not be representative that you see on the SK Sim Racing leaderboards of where we'll be seeing drivers actually racing with us here tonight. Now, of course, open qualifying can be difficult enough on the oval, but you combine that with a short mile like this, and the possibility of running the traffic on a flying lap is just oh so great. Checkered flag has flown, but drivers will be allowed to finish their laps.
Yeah, you get. We don't have that. Well, they say the cutoff here. You have an opportunity once you hit the line to keep going. Right now, Michael Johnson jumps up here. He's going to stay in second. Cody Harris jumps up into the 3rd position. See a couple more drivers out here taking a quick time, and that's it. So that's going to end it. Race is over for them. Nick Silver's going to round out 4th.
And so, with qualifying now complete, let's take a rundown of your Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series All-Star Sprint Race starting grid. It's Tom Wetmore on pole position with Michael Johnson beside him on the front row. Cody Harris lines up in 3rd, still within a 1/10 of a second of your pole sitter with Nick Silver in 4th. Kyle Kamer is in 5th with Rhett McBride sitting 6th.
Hey, we look back here to 7th. You got Braden Whitaker, and then you got Eric Stanford, William Schmidt, Ross Cato, Manazzi Major, and Tom Morano.
And that'll bring out the likes of Mike Kuczynski and Brian Chambliss to round out tonight's 14-car field for a 50-lap sprint around the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway before we get set to go racing for another 100 laps in the feature race to see who will be crowned the All-Star Champion of 2022. Want to give one quick shout out to the people that helped keep the lights on so far, or that helped keep the lights on at the Real Sim Racing League. SK Sim Racing is an iRacing team and channel with an emphasis on reaching those who are new to the oval sim racing world. You can find them online at facebook.com/SKSimRacing and on Twitter at SKSimRacing1. Race What Champions Race at SKSimGear.com. You see them sponsoring the SK Sim Racing leaderboard throughout the course of the season. Now, of course, Brian Chambliss was one of the drivers that was already locked into the feature event, so I would not be surprised if he does not take the grid for this race here tonight. And I think while we're still waiting for the pace car to lead the field off, it is worth noting that it's not just going to be the current 10 that are going to be advancing to race against the top 13. They'll be starting at the back. I believe will end up being about a 23-car field for our feature event here. Will actually end up being gridded up in reverse championship order. So you'll take all of the drivers in this field, and the person with the lowest number of current championship points will be starting on pole, whereas the points leader will be starting at the rear of the field.
And that's going to make it challenging because you got drivers over there that are going to start in the back. That's is fast. We'll invert it on championship points, and then obviously you got somebody out in the chat that says that Wetmore should walk away with this, right? Not so fast, my friend. To pull a Lee Corso out here, not so fast. That 39 was fast in practice, didn't have the necessary speed in qualifying, but I'm going to say backing up practice times is going to be huge here. He was able to back up 1 and 2, 3 and 4 looked like he was a little bit pushing to the high side. But the fairgrounds, this is a different challenge, and this is a different style of racing. This is kind of like the LA Coliseum, but a little bit bigger. You could compare it to Dover. You could also go out here and compare this to Richmond, with just a little bit more banking. You can run that middle lane, but don't you dare step that out and go to the high lane and run against that wall, because the wall is going to punch you in the mouth, and it's going to be harder than something in WWE.
Pace cars leading the field of 13 cars through turns 3 and 4. So as it dives down and in, it's time to go all-star racing. It's time to get loud and get down and race hard. Welcome to the Nashville Fairgrounds at the 2022 Full Throttle Sim Cup Series All-Star Race.
Yeah, and that battle into 1:39, like I said, look for Michael Johnson, gets to the outside, gets the run, wrecking, 15's around. Caution, number 1's out in the 50-lap run. The 15, it looks like Rhett McBride. It's not a good one.
Bad start to Rhett McBride's night. Finds himself collected. Lap 1, turn 2. That is not how you want to start off your all-star race, but of course, there's still a long way to go. 48 laps left when the field comes back around to the line. It was Kyle Kamer that drifted a little bit off the bottom lane and just gave a little bit of a hip check to the 15, sent him around, and he backed it hard into the wall. Good news is nobody got into him, so the field looking relatively clean. Good news for Rhett McBride as well, as unlike at Twin River Motegi for last year's All-Star race, damage on this track doesn't matter so much about overall pace.
Yeah, and finally, somebody can hip check in Nashville. My Preds couldn't do it. We get swept by the crappy Avalanche. At least something in the great state of Tennessee can put a hit on somebody. But the 15 goes around, makes slight contact with the wall. No harm, no foul. Who cares? You're still racing in the open. Like you only fall back you're only 13th.
So at the front of the field, Michael
tires
Johnson.
off, gets heated back up. Yeah.
So it looks like Michael Johnson at the top of the field has taking that spot away early on from the outside lane. Tom Wetmore, your pole sitter, down in second place. Now you got Nick Silver sitting third with Harris fourth. Kyle Kamer, one of the only drivers that so far has not moved throughout the course of the night. He currently sits fifth after he made contact with Brett McBride, and Tom Morano down in 12th place. Also hasn't moved so far over the course of tonight's race. So it will be the number 39 car to make his decision as to whether he wants to start inside or outside. Last week at Darlington, outside lane was the place where everybody wanted to be. Nobody wanted to start on that inside lane, as looks like we are going to take one more lap behind the iRacing safety car. Which line do you reckon Johnson's going to pick here, Terry?
He better pick the outside. That's what got him the lead on the initial start there, and it's going to continuously keep doing it. That outside lane is going to be the momentum. It's going to be the opportunity. You're not going to spin the tires as much. And yes, Logan, like my Titans lost to the Bengals in January, we don't know how to hit in Nashville, so I want to see some hitting tonight.
Kyle Kamer has taken responsibility for the incident. Now, obviously, it is not a points race, but there was a mention to the drivers that race stewards would still be keeping a good eye out for drivers that might be looking to bend the rules a little bit, trying to use the fact that this is in fact not a points race, and he says it's a bit of an excuse to, shall we say, it twists the rule book in their favor. It's something that has definitely been done before in various other series, and I imagine in the RealSimRacing Cup Series possibly a long time ago as well. But so far, all looking fine and dandy tonight. So Michael Johnson elects for the outside lane. He'll be starting first place. Tom Wetmore down on the bottom. Wetmore's going to have to make sure to stay tucked in behind that 39 car up until they cross the start-finish line. Through turn 4, Michael Johnson out of the final corner, immediately stamps on the loud pedal, gets a good gap from Cody Harris. The top two break away. They're side-by-side for third, down to the turn 1.
You got side-by-side for third, side-by-side for fifth. Those two, it just stakes it. Oh, almost lost it at a 2. What a heck of a save right there for that 19 machine of Eric Stanford. That could have been big. That would have wiped out majority of this field. You would only had about 4 cars break away there, but you're still side-by-side. That's for the 4th place position. That's the 4 of Nick Silver and Kyle Kamer that are working each other over here as they come down the back into 3.
And it was Eric Stanford, the car that had stepped out the back end in his FXR Ford Mustang. He gets it to the outside wall again, and this time gives a little bit of damage onto the right front wheel well. Still side by side with Kamer for 5th place. Another big twitch with the number 19.
Working it. He's working that bad boy. He wants to get in. You're stuck to the outside. Car below him gets loose there, and that's going to be a big help because that's going to allow the 19 to go to the bottom, and which the middle lane is preferred if you want to make a move. If that's really what you need to do, you go up there, work it. But if you want to be aggressive and you want to save a little bit, go to the bottom. You're able to dive it in more and then just get a better run off the exit, so that way you don't really have to go through the banking to the straight.
You see Cato looking to work the outside lanes. The only driver still on that top shelf. Just gets cleared by Braden Whitaker and Munatsi Major in the Sprite Chevrolet, looking for the inside line. Now Ross Cato trying to find a hole. He'll get in here. Rhett McBride looking to make up spots after getting turned by Kyle Kamer on the opening lap. He'll sweep to the inside of the number 82 car. And down the back straightaway, McBride still holding firm. And there is, right up the road, Ross Cato still trying to work on Braden Whitaker. You saw him make the effort, but wasn't quite able to get the nose all the way in. McBride still battling Major for one of the final spots so far in the field, and that is very crucially though here, Terry, the final transfer spot as he gets loose and bobbles out of turn 2.
Yeah, that almost was big as well. You saw the 82 gets in the back. Major was able to kind of save his car for him. 2 cars making, slight contact there, nothing too big. You get off the exit of the corner, one gets a better run. It's hard to make this car itself here at this track move one lane to the next without getting squirrely in the back end. And the next gen's here is just phenomenal as the battle for 4th. And that's heated up big time. Silver starting to hold Stanford up. And Cameron's all over the back bumper. And then Schmidt says, hey, I want to join this party too. I have the best looking paint scheme out of here tonight.
See William Schmidt trying to dime it off the corner. 4th car in line in this second pack, and really the big pack on the night, and it is still Nick Silver leading the way. Eric Stanford right behind him, the number 19 car trying to find a way through and move his way up the SK Sim Racing leaderboards. Gets a bit tight with Silver, and Silver clips the wall out of turn 4, back down the front straightaway. Look at Stanford to the inside lane. Silver running that second seam. Silver's out too deep though on the exit of 2. That lets Stanford get the nose in, and now Eric Stanford's Mustang is going to move up into 4th place. Silver will tuck in for 5th. Kyle Cameron not able to go on the offensive, while William Schmidt looks for the high side.
Yeah, that's an interesting move from the 79 going up there. He's the first one that I've seen that hasn't been loose off of exit. So we go on board with him here and the Keeping It Real Esports Chevrolet. He's able to work it. You hear the throttle control that he's having to use. He gets hard on it, and he gets down just a little bit. He's riding. He's staying consistent. He's not moving lanes, and then he's able to pinch it down to the bottom, which is a perfect exit here at the fairgrounds, especially in the super late models. And these next-gen cars has more power in the rear, so it's going to be interesting to see as this run progresses. They get down to about, lap 30, lap 35. Are these rear tires going to be lighting up as hard as you think that they are right now?
One thing I love about this onboard shot is you see just how much these cars are being blinded as they enter turn 3. You just cannot see a thing. You know it's only going to be even worse sitting lower down in the driver's seat, so it's impressive that these guys have been as clean as they have been so far. We are, of course, going to be racing into the sunset, and I imagine by the end of the night going to be racing under the lights as well. Track currently sits at a very cool 71 degrees Fahrenheit, slight breeze in the air, southeast about 5 miles an hour, but it is not a humid day, less than 50% humidity in the air. So really goes to show that while it might be a cold day, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a wet day, which, hey, good thing they haven't added moisture in the RC just yet, I guess, or this track might be getting a little bit slicker than I think a lot of these guys might have liked.
Yeah, absolutely, and the weather here really plays a factor in what we're going to do this evening, because if we did this race in the sunlight with the track being beamed with the sun, this track is not going to be fun for these drivers. These next-gen cars are going to slide into the corner. They're going to slide off the exit, but with it being a cooler temperature, it being roughly 70, 80 degrees out here, track temps staying pretty low. It'll get lower as the the sun goes down. We get the daylight out. I'm curious here because you see the 30s on pit lane. Kuczynski wrecked here.
You saw him in pit road of the number 30 car, and well, that would be for extensive damage repairs. Lap 22, lost it by himself and slammed the outside wall. I'm pretty sure that will spell an end to Kuczynski's all-star campaign in 2022. Better luck next year. There is always, of course, another run. Now, of course, if there by some miracle happens to be some really major wreck that takes out 10th through 12th, and Kuczynski gets back out on track, well, let's just say it's not necessarily a lost cause. It's never a bad idea to just get minimal damage fixed, especially at a short track, right? Just get the required damages repaired and get back out there. You never know what's going to happen at the racetrack like this. We are over halfway.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. We're only halfway through. There's an awesome thing going here is we do have a battle for the lead. The battle for the lead between Wetmore. He started to catch. He slipped off. He got loose in the corner. Wetmore was able to get the run on him there for a second. He goes down to 3/10 down the straight. But then when he gets in the corner, it's just like the car's not planting. The viewer out there watching said that we thought that Wetmore was going to run away with it. But Johnson has just been fast. He has been blistering fast. He's laid a 19 flat that last time by. And now this time, Wetmore was able to pull about 3/100ths of a second on him here. And the gap is shrinking as we get down to 3/10 of a second with 20 to go.
This track is just so bumpy, and it really does make it a significant challenge for these drivers to wrangle around, which honestly makes it a fantastic location for the 2022 All-Star Race with the Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series. Tom Wetmore trying to run down Michael Johnson, but so far having limited success. You can see him closing in a couple hundredths here, a couple hundredths there, but at the same time, sometimes loses that time. But that run through 3 and 4, got the absolute perfect line. Now is closed in to about a quarter of a second. Tom Wetmore right on the tail end of Michael Johnson, trying to pressure that 39 car for the race lead. Now, it is worth noting he can pass for the lead all he wants, but that's not going to matter because you line up based off of your points going into this race.
Yeah, it's just a pride thing, man. You want to win. You want to build some confidence going into the actual All-Star race itself, not just the Open. Now, granted, this is the Open. There's no points. There's nothing on the line here other than just pure, hey, you have a win under your belt at the fairgrounds in this car. As you take a look here with Kyle Kammer, he's battling up here, but you got Silver and Whitaker right here. They're battling the 70, or that's Smith. I'm sorry, you got Smith and Silver were battling there. Was able to get around here, and now the race is on. Now we go back one step further with Whitaker, who I was talking about in the 82 of Major or Cato, Ross Cato. Man, all these paint schemes are confusing me.
You see the likes of Braden Whitaker and Ross Cato now starting to do battle with each other. Ross Cato pulls the outside lane. That was for 8th spot. And right behind them, Munatsu Major, Rhett McBride in the fight for 10th. Now, of course, remember, currently, Rhett McBride is trying to overtake Munatsu Major, which is for that final transfer spot. Top 10 move in to the feature event. He's got 14 laps to go this time by. McBride is very, very quickly running out of time. He's trying to diamond off these corners. He's got to find some extra speed under there. It's not enough to just get to him. You're going to have to pass him, and it would not surprise me if we saw a potential bump and run in those closing laps.
Oh, absolutely. If you're Rhett McBride right here, what do you have to lose? I mean, you want to get in. You spun on the initial start. You're still on those tires. He did not come down pit lane. You know, he took the slide down the straight, didn't do anything about it, just stayed on the racing surface, and now he finds himself in an opportunity here as the battle for the lead really has heated up. It's down to 1/10 of a second as they come through 1 and 2. Wetmore wants it, and Michael Johnson is just loose.
Johnson pushes up the track at 3 and 4. That opens up the door for Wetmore to try to tuck the nose in out of 4 down the front straightaway. Not going to happen, though. And it looks like that Tube Tech machine could not get to the inside line. That's not going to stop him, though, from trying to keep applying that pressure to Michael Johnson. 10 laps to go, this time by, and you saw on the SK Sim Racing leaderboard, Braden Whitaker now bumped down into the bubble spot, while Michael Johnson continues to try to fend off Wetmore for the All-Star Open race lead, the 50-lap sprint race, as the run-up to tonight's possibly as high as a 23-car feature event of 100 laps, double the distance, 9 laps to go, and right now Michael Johnson really feeling the heat.
Yeah, the battle for the lead and the battle for the transfer spot was hot there for a second. Whitaker and McBride going back and forth, but the battle for the lead is the best battle here. It's a 10th to 2/10 on that battle there. McBride took it. Whitaker's falling back, but these two up here at Johnson and Wetmore, they're really laying it on the line. But you also have to be cautious. You have to be safe here because you don't want to put Johnson in a bad spot, and Wetmore don't want to put himself in a bad spot either. If one of those two drivers wrecks, then Whitaker's like, hey, free spot, you know, I'm here, I'm in. You don't want to put each other in a bad position with 7 to go.
Michael Kuczynski is now 20 laps down, and with only 7 to go, that will now officially spell the end of his All-Star campaign. There is Rhett McBride, and as you've noticed, now in the final transfer spot. Did manage to get by Braden Whitaker just a couple of laps ago. The pass was completed on lap 41. That was about 3-4 laps ago. Braden Whitaker still trying to get back to him. He wants to make sure that he can try to race in the All-Star race tonight or in the feature event and not have to spend his evening watching the race from, as you put it, the couch cushion. 5 laps to go. Tom Wetmore still closing on Michael Johnson, and now lap traffic could have a hand to say. Tom Morano just up the road in 12.
Yeah, and Sam Nieto, I am sorry if I'm downplaying the Open. This is a big event to win. You want to win it. It's a pride thing. and it puts you there. And lap traffic, being courteous, moving out of the leader's way. Obviously, you're not having the night that you wanted with Murano here, but you're still racing. You got laps under your belt. It's ready to go, but it's go time with 3 to go here between Johnson and Wetmore. I kept saying Johnson's been quick, and everybody else said, no, Wetmore's the guy. Well, now you get to be the guy. This is your opportunity. They're coming to 2.
2 laps left to go. This time by, does Wetmore have what it takes to go for the sprint race win to kick off the 2022 All-Star race? Michael Johnson back straightaway, pulls out just another couple of hundredths. The gap extends to 3/10. Personally, I don't think Wetmore's going to get there unless he does something desperate. On the final lap, white flag in the air. Michael Johnson still in control, not feeling too much pressure. Wetmore is still back by a couple of car lengths, trying to get to him. Turn 3, final time. Not gonna get there, not even close. Michael Johnson exits turn 4 and wins the All-Star Open, while one Tom Wetmore slides across the line.
That was a heck of a finish there. Those 2 drivers battled forever, and look at Rhett McBride. What a run. Spins it, comes up here, finishes right behind Minotzi Major in 10th, transfers his way into the All-Star race, and he had a lot of opportunities to pass people here, and he did it smartly. He was very calm about it, but now they got to hurry up. They got to get over there and get ready to go race, because it's almost showtime here. It's time for the other boys to come out and play. Let's see what we got. Let's rack them and stack them.
So we're going to take a look now at the official post-race results from the All-Star Open for the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series All-Star race for the National Fairgrounds. Michael Johnson and Tom Wetmore finish 1-2, with Cody Harris down in 3rd to wrap up the podium. Eric Stanford is in 4th with Kyle Kamer in 5th. Got William Schmidt down in 6th. Nick Silver is 7th. Ross Cato is in 8th. Minotzi Major and Rhett McBride will round out the last of the drivers, transferring to the feature.
You got Braden Whitaker down here in 11th place, 1 spot out of the transfer position in the XP Motorsports Whiskey team. Tom Murano rounds out to 12th, 1 lap down, and Michael Kaczynski, a bad night with substantial damage, and 14th. I never turned a lap.
Well, of course, Brian Chambliss didn't have to turn a lap as he found himself locked into the feature as it was. So quite the All-Star Open then. I will say, not the most amount of side-by-side action, but hey, part of the thrill of Nashville isn't necessarily that side-by-side racing, right? It's the challenge of it. It's not like a track like Bristol, right? This track is bumpy, and it does not show any mercy. So easy to get these next-gen cars stepped out around there. And I have to say, very impressed we made it through that All-Star Open with only 1 caution on that first lap.
And the All-Star race is going to be a polar opposite of what we saw here. It'll be 2x2 the entire time. I don't see anybody giving up. I don't see anybody going, just half. But, yeah, that's the word to say. You're not going to see that. You're going to see the drivers that are fast in your season championship are going to be riding through the front. Everybody's going to want to jockey for position in the early portion of this race. You got only 100 laps to do it. So, well, we got some happy people in here, man.
Yeah, we'll certainly do, and we will kick things off with the driver that took home the win in the All-Star Open. Michael Johnson will find himself as one of the first drivers to transfer through into the feature. Michael, it was quite the run for you, having to fend off a charging Tom Wetmore behind. Tell us how you did it.
Started off just trying to save those tires, but he run me down there. I didn't think I was going to be able to hold him off, but this is a very hard track to pass on with all the bumps in the track.
It's a very different racetrack to what it was last year when we went to the Twin Rig Motegi. What's your thoughts coming on over into the fairgrounds, though? A much shorter and arguably a much more difficult racetrack to drive.
Yeah, I love racing here. This is probably one of my favorite tracks on the service. The next gen, it's pretty tough to run here because this track, and well, I don't think it's just the car is really stiff here. Maybe a I'd prefer a super late model, but it's still a lot of fun to drive around here.
And obviously, I think this is the question we're all thinking about in the room right now. Do you have any hopes that you're going to be able to go out there and win yourself an All-Star Race 2022 tonight?
We're going to give it a shot. It's going to be very hard to pass. I think starting position is going to be important, and then we'll see how it spreads out and see what we can do. But I think our times are pretty good, and I think we got a good shot at it.
Well, sounds like some very wise words to live by. Starting position, obviously going to be very key to winning tonight's race. Well, thank you for joining us tonight then here, Michael. Best of luck in just a few moments in the All-Star race.
Thank you, sir.
That's Michael Johnson joining us up here, winner of your All-Star Open. Going to move things on down to the runner-up, the driver that was struggling to try to catch with the Johnson. And I'll pass this one on down to you, Terry. You're standing by with Tom Wetmore.
Tom, man, you run second there. You had people in the chat saying you were going to be the one raising some heck here tonight and taking the open win. What happened? What happened to the car? You were right there on him, and then you just slipped back a little bit.
Yeah, Terry, this Tube Tech Chevy Camaro, I mean, it was crazy fast. The problem is it's crazy fast for about 20 laps before that right front tire heats up and starts boiling. So we laid back early there thinking that we were going to be able to save enough tire, but with Cody on my bumper, you can only wait so long before he's going to use the chrome horn, and I wasn't going to wait around for that. So took the Tube Tech Camaro and the auto warranty USA.net boys and decided to go make a run at Michael, but unfortunately we caught him and our right front was cooked. So a couple moves to the inside to try to make some momentum there, but it wasn't going to be enough to get around that car here at this tight Nashville track.
Now I'm kind of balancing it here because this is an open setup here, correctly?
We're fortunate that we're all on the same even playing field here tonight. So it all comes down to driver skill, tire management, and staying out of trouble.
Now, what can you do? You talked about the right rear was cooking a little bit, and then your front was cooking as well when you got up there on him. What can you do inside that cockpit while you're racing? It's going to kind of help you here to balance it. I kind of reference this one to being more like you can compare it to Richmond, Dover, places like that with a little bit more banking and stuff like that. Can you do something different in your driving style to maybe not tear the tire up as much now that you do have 50 laps extra practice on your belt?
Yeah, I don't want to give it away to the boys, but
don't say it out loud. Just tell me a hint.
I can tell you, I think there's going to be a thing or two we're going to try here in the feature, which should help save the tires a little bit and give us a little bit more long run speed. But anyone who was watching that race probably saw where we were making a few mistakes and probably making the same adjustments to their own ride as we head into the real All-Star race here.
Well, you could text me your notes. I won't say it out loud. I promise I won't say it out loud. But I want to know what you're going to do with it. At the end, if you run top 3, you're talking to me, I want you to share your secrets. I want to know what we're doing here at the fairgrounds. But, hey, best of luck, man. Go out there and give them some hell in the All-Star race.
I appreciate it, man. Going to hopefully keep this Tube Tech thing up front. We'll see where we line up.
Heck yeah. Get it, buddy.
Take care now.
All right, Nolan. You got Cody Harris right here. 28, finishing P3.
I sure do. Well, Cody Harris rounds it out. And Cody, you were in a little bit of no man's land there, finishing in 3rd place. But, hey, you did what you needed to do. You got yourself up into the All-Star race. How you feeling?
Yeah, feeling pretty good. The only real sketchy part was side-by-side on the restarts. The bottom was just so bouncy. I lost a spot on the first one, but luckily the caution came out and I was in 4th and then was able just to get in a 3rd on that and kind of ride. I pushed kind of hard early. I think I burned up or overheated my right front tire a little bit, and then I just kind of started riding a little bit because it's pretty easy to get loose off the turn. So I just want to make sure I didn't do anything dumb to screw up where I was running.
Now, of course, you are the current points leader, and I believe that means you are going to be lining up at the tail end of the field for this one. We heard Michael Johnson say that starting position was going to be key to winning this race. Obviously, not quite going your favor with that one, unfortunately. What do you think you'll be able to do, though, to get yourself up in a victory lane tonight?
Hope for carnage ahead of me. I think it was pretty tough to pass because when I did catch Tom in front of me, there wasn't much I'd be able to do because it's so bumpy when you get down low. The car just jumps all over the place. I mean, I think the only way to pass is probably a little contact.
And are you going to be willing to get that car a little bit dirty if you have to in order to edge out a win over the others here tonight?
Maybe if I'm positioned for a win, I don't know if I would do it in the back of the pack or not.
Well, fair enough then. Well, Cody, thank you for taking the time to join us here tonight. And, well, best of luck in the All-Star race in just a couple of minutes.
Alrighty, thank you.
And, well, as we also heard from one Tom Wetmore, I think it is safe to say if we all of a sudden start reading out any kind of notes that we got from an anonymous source, well, you happen to know where they might have just come from now.
Well, hey, I tell you what, nothing better than the fairgrounds. You got people out there in the chat excited about this. I got some family out there watching. This is Nashville. This is where you come to race. You've had people like Allison, Yarborough, Waltrip, Earnhardt, Petty. Those names came through the fairgrounds, and hell, I got half of them back here on the wall. Right? These drivers were out here in legendary status, and you put yourself. Granted, this is the next gen car, but it's very cool to see that we're able to take the new school to the old school, put them on a track that's got some bumps, got an opportunity to beat and bang, just can tear some stuff up, and that's what I'm here to see. So Nolan will I'll take off the ball cap, right, and we'll throw the cowboy hat on because
oh boy,
we're in Nashville, boys.
You came prepared, did you? And
I'm
just
always
here,
prepared.
fresh out of track marshaling. You're ready to get it set for tonight's race, and you're over here with 2 hats.
That's it. Yeah, we come here with multiple hats. We always like to keep them on standby just in case. I figured that, Evan would be watching and, wanted him to say, giddy up. They're going to be side by side with the hat on. So, yeah, we're always ready.
Is that one of the hats that you were so eager to show us last week at Darlington?
Oh, no. This is the hat that I had on last time. I think I'm breaking the fourth wall here, but whatever. Oh, this was my hat from last week. We'll take the cowboy hat off. We'll put that down here.
Just for now. It'll come back.
It'll come back. This was my hat from last week. It's a smart donkey. I got the donkey on the hat, and I figured that this is what my mama calls me a lot, my wife as well. So, yeah. I figured it would be pretty cool to break out the hat.
A smart donkey. That sounds like somehow both a compliment and an insult at the same time. I didn't think that was possible.
As long as I don't smell like one, I don't care. I mean, I got the helmet back yonder. I got the hat for Evan. I didn't get to show this on the broadcast last time, but you see, we got all the hats out here to show. Since Evan,
how many hats do you have?
Honey's in the chat. She probably could tell me about how many. I got about 20 or 30. The goat.
Why do you have
That's
so
Evan
many
Pasoko.
hats?
I gotta have hats, man. I got all these hats on the wall right here behind me. All of them. I got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I got about 20, 30 hats out there.
Terry, you're scaring me here, man.
Man, I'm a hat guy. I got the mullet, but the hats is where it's at. And I got a football helmet back there that I thought for sure would eventually come in here, but it's there it sits back yonder. I got plenty of hats. I got plenty. I got a hat for every day of the month.
Wow.
Just saying. I need them.
Speechless.
I need them. You never know when a hat gets dirty, man. This hat right here, been broke in too many times, and a couple hats have been signed. I got a Martin Sports hat that's been signed by Suarez, stuff like that. I got Billy Currington's autograph on one. Morgan Wallen signed another hat for me. So there's a couple hats I can't wear, but the goat hat is going to Evan Pasoko for being the goat, and he's going to wear this hat for me somewhere.
So it is looking to be a bigger field then for the official All-Star race. I'm gonna swiftly move that conversation along.
Yeah.
That was a topic I was not in the. Can you tell that was a conversation I was not in the slightest expected to go as far down the rabbit hole as it did?
It happens. You're on a broadcast with me, and we're on camera. We're filling time, man.
Oh boy. So there were 13 cars in the official All-Star Open. It looks like there's going to be, about 20 so far in the main All-Star race field. So It's going to be a pretty healthy 100 laps, I imagine, when it comes to hard-fought racing. We had one caution in the All-Star Open. It was on the first lap, contact between McBride and Kamer. McBride did manage to just race his way back into this mess. And, of course, he got into it with Kyle Kamer as well. Now, the question is, if those two find each other on track again, do you reckon it'll be quite so peaceful?
Oh, yeah. The only time it won't be peaceful is more than likely the beginning. If you get an opportunity to see them, at the beginning of the race, you're not going to do anything to jeopardize yourself. You're not going to do anything to jeopardize anybody around you. You don't want to end your race early. If you catch them with 2 to go and you remember, hey, you wrecked me. Done. I'm sending them. Like, you're just sending them from the start.
Sam Nieto, one of the drivers that races frequently in the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series, has a question about your many hats here. Do you have a top hat? And if you don't, well, why not?
I don't have a top hat, and I tell you why. I look goofy enough as it is, right? And you throw a top hat on me, I can't wear it on the broadcast because I would look stupid. You can't. There's just a lot. I mean, if we find a cool top hat, who knows? I might get it. I got, what's the lowest thing I got to a top hat? I don't think I got any.
I think it'd be pretty amusing, though, to have like a hat that just extends out of the top of the camera frame, and it's just like a guess as to how far it actually goes.
That would be classic. You know what? That's a challenge. I'm going to see how big of a hat I can get. Hey, just throw it on my head and wear it.
What have I done?
You've done it. Yeah, you've done it here.
5 minutes left to go in practice, and there was a backup system in place. If we weren't able to grid the cars up by reverse championship order, they would be gridded up through another 5-minute open qualifying session. I have some good news. I do not see any 5-minute open qualifying session anywhere, so we'll be lining things up based on reverse championship order, which means it is confirmed. Cody Harris will be your, shall I say, reverse pole sitter, starting stone dead last in the 2022 All-Star race.
This is why I love this league. I can't say what he said. As my wife's arguing in the chat about not having a top hat, Sam Nieto wants a top hat. He's ready for it. Everybody wants one. I'm sorry I let you down.
I can't. I don't know what to say to this.
We're lost without Evan.
We are. Evan is he's the one that herds the sheep.
He is. He keeps me in check.
Both on the track and off the track.
It's hard to do. It's hard to do. I always think in my mind when I'm about to say something, what would Evan do? If Evan wouldn't do it, I ain't gonna do it. So, yeah, we'll try it.
Well, to be quite frank, I've been on some broadcasts that have been on the longer end of things where it's a little bit hit or miss, and sometimes you don't know what's going to come out of Evan's mouth next, so who knows? Maybe he would have said that after all. Who knows? We'll see. I guess we'll have to see when he comes back, and maybe he'll give us some insights on that if we can even talk to him maybe later on tonight. Under 5 minutes left now in the practice session, and mentioned there's, of course, a lot of good names now in this field. You got guys like Freenaj, who is going to be finding himself up and in the thick of things. Agno Phillip is a name that has not had a whole lot of luck so far this season. He's been up at the front. He's been very, very quick. Has had race-winning cars every single race, but has always been wiped out of the race either by his own mistakes or somebody else is doing. He's been in the lead so many times this season, yet only got his first career win in 2022 last week at the Darlington Raceway, which is so unfortunate, really, when you think about how good of a run Phillip is having. Agno Phillip very easily should be up within the top 3 or 5 easily in the point standings. Instead, sits 100 points down, 10th place.
Yeah, it has not been what we thought coming into the season or coming into when I got to come into here. to see what, transpired last week, got the win. Got the win, was able to outlast everybody and just pull away with this. And yeah, wait till 300 miles at Charlotte next week. We have so much, just dead spot to cover. But Nolan, I'll go back to racing here for a second. Look who's leading, right? Your top two from the Open who got that extra 50 lap practice that most of these other drivers did not get. There they are. Tom Wetmore, Michael Johnson leads practice right here for the All-Star race, and that's huge. That is the most keen confidence that I talked about from the Open. Here they sit above Horn, Freenage, and Cammer, who was also in that one. So out of your top 5, 3 were in the Open that have not won a race.
Now, I do think it is worth noting that is, of course, just one lap. There have been 17 laps that Wetmore said, hey, wow, okay, well, somebody's taking a bit of a aerial ride in return 3. But Tom Wetmore has so far had 17 set laps in this practice session. That was the fastest of the bunch, but he's also had laps as slow as a 19.1. Their lap times are really all over the boards for a lot of these drivers. Being fast on one lap is one thing, but a short track, and being fast on one lap, that is not going to get you anywhere. That'll get you, well, one lap. And then from there, you're falling straight to the rear if you can't back it up with some more times.
Well, and yeah, but looking at the laps here, they put 17, 18 laps on the board. And I haven't seen a whole lot of fall off between those drivers. They've really been able to work the bottom. They've been able to work the middle. There hasn't been a terrible amount of fall off. I mean, they're back on the board again. Now, Freenage has put 31 laps on the board, 33 for Brandon 6. They're trying to get that pace that Wetmore and Michael had, because they didn't have to put a whole lot of time there as the 52 goes around, but it's the end of practice. He's probably just having fun. This is going to be interesting because now you have 70 laps on the board for Wetmore and Michael Johnson. And everybody in the chat was pretty much saying that Wetmore was the guy to beat. But I'm looking at that 88. I think that's the guy that you're going to go through here tonight.
Warm-up is complete. Let's run down through your all-star starting grid for the Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series at National Fairgrounds in 2022. It is Liam Sheen and Eric Stanford lining up on the front row. Jeremy Miller and Brian Chambliss, 3rd and 4th. Venazzi Major and Ross Cato, 2 drivers that ran in the All-Star Open, start 5th and 6th.
Then you go back here to 7th and 8th. William Schmidt, who ran there, and Rhett McBride, your final transfer spot into this race for Steel Horse Racing with Kyle Kammer, Tom Wetmore, who was fastest in practice, Sean Casto, and Michael Johnson, the Open winner, rounds out your top 12.
And that will leave Brandon Bowie in 13th with Nick Silver in 14th. Cody Harris is in 15th with Daniel Eberhardt in 16th. Agnell Phillip is 17th with Connor Horn at 18th. It's Andrew Freenage and Brandon 6 to round out tonight's 20-car field. And now already some big news here. Liam Sheen will be starting this race from the pit road.
Oh no. Liam Sheen, man, he followed me on the Twitter, right? It's been a big week for me and Sheen. Followed me on the Twitter, and then we got in a race together, or a practice session. He's much faster than I am. I learned that through our iRating and whatnot. I was in a much lower split. I was in bottom split, and he was in top split. But I did get a B license this week, Nolan. Kansas was real good to me, but the fairgrounds is going to be even better for the fans and us here for the All-Star race.
Coming on in towards the start finish line for the final time before we get set to go green flag racing for 100 more laps. The lights have clicked on over the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. A very colorful Jeremy Miller in the Edge Setup Shop Chevrolet will get set to lead them to the green flag. Liam Sheen will have a lot of work to do in his Nexus Esports Mustang, but the good news is there's bound to be a caution. This race not over for Sheen just because he's starting from pit road. Once again, happy that you're all joining us here on a beautiful Monday night as we get set to go back to All-Star Racing for the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Jeremy Miller out of turn number 4 onto the front straightaway. We're green flag racing. So Jeremy Miller leads the opening lap from Eric Stanford, Benazzi Major in third, Chambliss fourth, Schmidt fifth. They're single file all the way back, but not for long. Out trouble for the second place driver. Stanford to the outside wall, slams into Benazzi Major. Somehow they save it. No, they don't. Stanford still wrecking into the outside wall. No caution though. We keep it green, but Stanford has gone from hero to zero with the blink of an eye.
That was like a wreck that never stopped. Oh man. Oh, what a big one there.
Stopped.
And it still hasn't stopped. That's Michael Johnson, all tore up right there. And, and the wreck that just kept on going and going and going. And finally, yellow flags out over the track. But big break for Liam Sheen there, who started on pit lane. We'll look here with what happened to second place. And just going to drive into the corner. Cold tires, not ready. Trying to give the old crossover, something the Phoenix Suns couldn't do. Broke loose and just snapped him.
The thing went down into Benazzi Major, immediately rebounded into the outside wall. That did not bring out the caution though. It came from further up the road. I'll put it this way, 3 into 2 doesn't work, or 3 into 1 I should say. McBride gets into Tom Wetmore, who gets into Johnson, and there you can also see more trouble for drivers further down the order. I think that was Brandon 6 that got into it a little bit. He clipped the apron, slid up. That caused Connor Horn to get into Wetmore for a second time. So Wetmore collected in 2 completely separate incidents.
Welcome to Nashville. Welcome to Smashville, the Music City. And I'm kind of glad this caution came out because my Uncle Ricky texted me and said, hey, you need to tell him to hush. He's trying to go to bed. It's 9 o'clock over here in the Music City. And he's tired, man. He's 72 years old. He's not ready for all this noise.
A wild opening start then to the All-Star race. Jeremy Miller, still your race leader, but now with a new second place driver, William Schmidt. In the Keeping It Real Chevrolet will bring it up behind him. For there you've also got Benazzi Major. Brian Chambliss is 4th. Ross Cato still sits in 5th. I'm looking more towards the drivers that we know are quick at tracks like these. Agnell Phillip, Cody Harris, Andrew Freenosh. They are still sitting 11th, 12th, and 10th place respectively. So Phillip and Freenosh in particular, along with Eberhard, have started to slowly pick their way up through the field, but it is not over yet. Jeremy Miller chooses the top lane for the restart.
Doing exactly what he saw in the open, right? What we saw there with the high side being the main spot you want to go to, this track eventually is going to regain some grip. It's going to have a whole lot more. The tires are going to heat up. You're going to get a little bit more slide off the corner. These cars, we heard it, the bumps are going to be a challenge. You don't want to be against the white. Pace car's off, Nolan. Let's get her again.
This time it's from the top shelf. Miller launches early already. Clears Schmidt before they even hit start finish. The top lane and Brian Chambliss caught napping 2 by 2. Down to the turns 1 and 2. The top 3 now single filed out. Chambliss bobbles. That lets Ross Cato get the nose into turn number 3. And that retro Ford Mustang still working the low side, but Brian Chambliss with the speed up top is going to pull around and maybe clear for 4th.
Yeah, he's going to clear pretty hefty there, and the 52 is going to jump to the outside. That's a great run right there to see that. The 12 is going to be stuck to the bottom. Cato's going to get Casto's going to get the run on Cato there. Those two are going to be around each other a lot here tonight. I feel that those two are going to be magnets to one another as you see them more behind them. You've got Bowie, Harris, Kammer, and don't look now, here comes Agnell Phillip and Brandon 6 with Andrew Freenosh right there in between it. Caution flags out again.
caution flag is out, and we are missing Rhett McBride, and that is why he is gone around in turn number 3. A lot of damage, though, onto the number 15 car. Makes me think he had a little bit of help with this one. We'll take a look at the race spot replay. Out of turn number 2. McBride by himself so far, gets a bit sideways, loops it, nails sheet to the wall, and I think Connor Horn got into that as well, and that means most likely so did the likes of Michael Johnson. Stanford, I think, just barely squeaked through that by the skin of his teeth as McBride slid to a stop in turn 3.
By that's no fun for Sheen. He obviously started on pit lane there. Car breaks loose, can't do nothing about it. Here, when the car comes off of the corner, the rear tires light up. They want to fire off as much as possible. You get the rear torque, right? In the moment you hit the gas, if you throttle it up too much, the back 2 tires are going to chatter like teeth in the cold. It's going to be like, nah, all the way around. Well, this track doesn't like that. There's a lot of divots in the track. There's also a lot of space, as you see here, where if you hit one of those seams, but you're not gonna go far, right? You're gonna go where he went. Back in, kicks out. It tries to correct it. The racket pinion steering and the individual steering that goes into here, it's just gonna kick it, and it kicked it. And yeah, Rhett McBride is not having fun. This is not a good day for the 15.
Jeremy Miller still leads the race. Once again, SK Sim Racing sponsors the SK Sim Racing leaderboards atop where Jeremy Miller sits. SK Sim Racing is an iRacing team and channel with an emphasis on reaching those who are new to the oval sim racing world. You can find them online at facebook.com/SK Sim Racing and on Twitter at SK Sim Racing 1. Race What Champions Race at sksimgear.com. Try saying that 5 times fast.
I can barely say it once.
You and me both.
That's why we have Evan.
It is the simplest. It makes complete sense, and it is the simplest website name I think I've ever heard of. But SK Sim, doesn't roll off the tongue at all for me. I don't know if it's a me problem, but I can tell you right now, I mean, they clearly have some very competitive guys with them in this field today. Among them, the likes of Kamer and others. So should be a good showing for them, hopefully throughout the rest of the 2022 campaign, as we're still not even really a third of the way through the season.
No, we got a long way to go in this season, but there's a lot of interesting stuff coming out of this. You know, we're going to have some fun here. We'll go to Charlotte. We'll beat and bang there and have a lot of fun with 300 miles around that very beautiful racetrack. We go to the Queen City. From the Music City to the Queen City. Well, they should name that Dolly Parton land if it's going to be the Queen City from here on out.
A few drivers have already elected to leave the racetrack tonight, including Nick Silver, Liam Sheen, Eric Stanford, and Rhett McBride. Jim Miller takes us back to the green flag. We are down 4 cars. 16 left, and they're all on the lead lap as we're back to green flag racing. It's a bottleneck at the back of the field, 2x2, trying for 3, not gonna happen, and cars going around. Brandon 6 gets turned to the back of the field. Somehow, Brandon Bowie is the one that got caught out, and somehow he's the only one that gets turned in that melee.
Yeah, how did the field miss him? We'll take a look here at this replay, because that was crazy. How everybody managed to miss the one car spinning towards the inside wall, and it was spinning very hard there. It's just not clear. A couple of cars getting the wall, kind of checking up here, but that's it. Very minor damage, and for Bowie, not a whole lot there.
It really was a bit of an accorded effect there to kick that one off. Ross Cato got a really bad exit out of turn 2. That caused Brandon Bowie to check up. Tom Wetmore was clear and did have a gap to the outside wall. As you see the rest of the field shoot around, that was with Agnell Phillip in that mess. But Wetmore attempted to get into a hole that was actually there, but obviously did not realize that Brandon Bowie was going to check up. I mean, how could he? He also had the likes of Sean Castle right in front of him. There was Tom Wetmore getting the view of that incident. You also heard a second ding. That was him getting run over from behind by Kyle Kamer.
Yeah, you see the throttle control here bouncing up and down in the. Oh, yeah, wasn't expecting it, and you don't expect it, right? You don't expect the checkup. You get a run off the corner, especially when you're in that middle lane, the upper groove here at the fairgrounds that semi-exist. It's all-star racing, and I'm sure that Brandon Bowie's not gonna like it. But I think Evan might have said boys have at it. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it feels like boys have at it.
I mentioned before that there are 4 drivers out of this race. One of those is Nick Silver. He retired on just the 4th lap of this race. Not sure why. He didn't have any damage on his car, so he finds himself out of the race. In Liam Sheen's own words, DoorDash came, have fun. So I think that kind of explains that. Might have gone to get a little bit of a bite to eat instead of wanting to actually stay out on the racetrack. I can't say I blame him. I've done the same thing myself. And not to mention, he also had some fairly significant damage as well. He was collected in that big incident that also took out Rhett McBride and Eric Stanford on the back straightaway. Connor Horn had also gotten a piece of that as well. That was also the wreck where McBride and Stanford retired from the race. Everybody else still remaining on the lead lap, but not without damage. You've got Freenage and Pit Road fixed damage. Same story with Brandon Bowie, Connor Horn, and Daniel Eberhardt. All 4 of those drivers trying to beat the pace car out.
I would like to know what Liam Sheen got from DoorDash. And, looking at while we're under the caution flag, about to go green, yes, the 79 there, Chad Little, I believe that's what the throwback was for, was Chad Little's machine back in the early Winston Cup days with the John Deere machine. Very nice throwback to him. I actually have one of those cars back here in my stash of NASCAR memorabilia. It was one of my favorite cars with the Keeping It Real machine.
Jimmy Miller once again taken to the top shelf, and he launches, but this time was anticipated by William Schmidt. He was not about to be caught out twice. Schmidt taking the fight to the 13 Chevrolet through turns 1 and 2. It's a top 2 breakaway despite them being side by side. Schmidt still on the low side, but Jeremy Miller's got so much speed up top. Caution's out, and Jeremy Miller hangs on. Wetmore, Phillip, both collected in this one. Phillip's 2022 woes continue, and it looks like he is not going to be getting himself a race win tonight unless he can get something desperate to get that thing fixed up. This happened coming into turn 3. Walks through, Terry.
Oh my God, it starts out. We get a little bit of push in here. We go down into the corner, just breaks it loose. Looks like a bit of a word that I really don't like saying on air somewhere, but not a whole lot of damage for those drivers. Not a whole lot. Car gets sideways, a little bit of checking up. People start to make contact, you bottleneck. There's not a whole lot of room here at this racetrack to really make things happen. As you just look here, just lifted the back end. But I don't think that's severe. That actually might help this machine. It might help it go faster in the corners.
3 into 3 doesn't tend to work. That's how the saying goes, isn't it?
I reckon so. I mean, I thought with what Smith did, what was that old saying? Fool me once, shame on me. Or shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. You ain't fooling the 79. And 3 into 3 or 3 into 1. That math don't add up. And I'm from Nashville. We don't do math here. All right, we don't do that. We go 1 beer equals 10. 10 might equal 20. And a half off shots, give me 10.
The thing about starting the outside and launching early like that on a track with a lot of banking, especially a short track like this, yes, you might be able to get the launch. And sure enough, he did. Jeremy Miller did, in fact, launch a fair bit ahead of William Schmidt, actually. The difference that Schmidt made up was the fact that, unlike Jeremy Miller, William Schmidt was right up beside him. Miller was against the outside wall. So Schmidt was able to just dive it down the banking and use that as momentum to help him carry speed down the front straightaway. That's what allowed him to stay side by side. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to help him complete the pass before the yellow flag came out again.
I believe if I'm looking at this correctly, Agnell Phillip was stopped on the low side of the track to allow the pace car back by. Either A, he did not beat the pace car off of pit lane, and he will be trapped 1 lap down, as now he is beginning to roll from bad to worse. Now I do say that to say this. I expect another caution to come out rather quick, until we can get drivers in the mindset of, hey, we have a long way to go. We're a quarter of the way in. I think Agnell is going to be able to go even more as he stopped again. I think he's waiting on somebody else to pass him.
So you are correct. Agnell Phillip did not beat the pace car route, but in fact did one worse. Left pit road while pit exit was still closed because the pace car was where it was, meaning Agnell Phillip has a black flag. Now we'll see if that's just an EOL or if that will amount to something even more under green flag conditions. If it's something more, almost certainly Phillip's race will be done for now. Jimmy Miller, outside lane, launches. This time he does manage to get the upper hand on William Schmidt, and sure enough, Agnell Phillip will have to come down pit road, and that 94 cars race is effectively over.
Yeah, it's over for the time being. I still see, some more spins, but the next gen car being as durable as it is, we've seen cars that have been involved in accidents. You see Wetmore still up here battling for a top 10. A couple drivers have some damage. There's a ton of them as Agnell Phillip comes down pit lane here. You're 2 by 2. That's for 6th on back, having a phenomenal battle here. But that A51 machine ain't over till it's over. He's on pit lane now. He'll go 2 here. He'll have to hold for 30 seconds, I do believe, if my penalty calculator is correct.
Or at the very least for a lap, which actually a 1 lap stop and hold would actually be better than a 30-second stop and hold in this case, because a 1 lap run is only 20 seconds.
He's back on the track now, 2 laps down. I think he's fast enough to stay in front of this lead. Jeremy Miller's fast, but we've seen Agnell Phillip do some pretty phenomenal things. He was able to hold off a very talented driver last week to win the race. So 2 more cautions. He's back on the lead lap, back on the same strategy. And hey, he, gets 1 back, drives through the field, maybe take it the hard way. And if he comes back and wins this race, that's going to smell trouble for the rest of the season for these guys.
Ross Cato alongside with Kyle Kamer. That's the fight for 7th place. Daniel Eberhard wants to make it 3 wide. Not happening, though, out of turn number 4. Cody Harris going to be going all the way to the top shelf. That's going to put Tom Wetmore in the middle, and he's going to get into Brandon 6. 6 spins. Inside wall. Is that going to be a caution? No caution yet. 6 still staying stationary. And because nobody was flying up on him, we stay green. So Brandon 6 wrecked at a bad point. He's going to stay out on the racetrack. You try to tough it out.
Yeah, I was just about to say that was the potential spot there, but you saw back there where we had the wreck, backed off, gave positions back, harm foul. Daniel Eberhard, Kyle Kamer, Ross Cato fighting around here. You have those 3 battling for 6th place. That Battle Beaver machine for Daniel Eberhard. Welcome back to the series, the 2nd race back for him in the All-Star Show. The 52 here doing a great job, and Casto is holding off Major and Chambliss, who he's drove through the field. 25's there, but he lets the 82 and Major go.
And now we get things single filed out under green flag conditions for really the first time all night long. But it doesn't last for very long, does it? You can already see way in the background other drivers already going side by side. That was Friedage getting past Kamer for 7th place. The Battle Beaver Mustang continuing to make up ground. As well as that, you had Connor Horn and Cody Harris trying to do battle for the final spot in the top 10. But so far, Harris hasn't been able to do a whole lot. Eberhard working on Brian Chambliss now. And he'll take over for 5th.
And I don't want to harp on this too much when we talked about Agnell Phillip. He's the fastest car on the track, by far. Laid the fastest lap of the entire race, and each lap has continuously until that lap when Tom Wetmore, who Sam Nieto says in the chat, looks like a crushed up soda pop.
And you saw Freenach slam the back end out out of turn 2 and go power sliding down the back straightaway. That gave the spot for 6th place back to Brian Chambliss for a brief moment, but Freenach took it right back in turn 1. Now Chambliss starting to crumble under pressure. Kyle Kamer will pass him up for 7th. Ross Cato wants to get by him for 8th as well. And right now, Chambliss being swamped. Cody Harris has nowhere to go as he gets cut off by the number 12.
Yeah, there's a lot of take, no give so far as we're quickly approaching the halfway mark of this race. This might be the quickest race I've ever called on iRacing, I think. This is going by in a blink of an eye. A lot of these drivers here finally getting some green flag racing in. I said if we were able to get the calmness down, we would figure this one out. Yes, producer guy, apart from the one we just called in the open, this might be the shortest race I've called, as the 28 is down there. Cody Harris on a beeline to the front. He's up 7 positions from where he started. So, hey, kudos. How far can you go here? Can you chase Jeremy Miller down? Who knows? Maybe we get another caution.
Has been a very caution-filled race so far. There you see some of the biggest movers and shakers. No surprise, Eberhard and Freenach up the most, plus 12 and plus 13 for both those two drivers. And I think that is safe to say we kind of expected for that to be the case, as looks like Daniel Eberhard, Freenach, the Battle Beaver cars. Constantly something that confused me as to who's who when it comes to those machines, but Freenach get his way past Benazzi Major. That was for 5th place on the racetrack. So now we got 2 different Battle Beaver machines running in the top 5, and one of them threatening for a podium as Daniel Eberhard looks to the inside at the bottom of your screens and gets by Sean Casto. Well, not quite. Sean Casto in the Keep It Real Chevrolet trying to battle back after turn number 2.
Yeah, he is keeping it real up there on the outside. It's something you don't normally see here. As it looks that Eberhard's having to check up just a tad bit, pushed a little tight through the center. Casto being polite in greetings and salutations for a second. But hey, go on, burn your stuff up. I'll sit back here, mind my own P's and Q's, do my thing. But he's got another Battle Beaver machine that's very fast. Andrew Freenach at 14 positions here. Biggest mover of this race so far. And he's about to make it 15 because he's coming with a head of steam. Casto's going to wash up, go to that 3rd line. And now the 88 finds himself in P4. And looking at my time in scoring, two of the fastest cars on the track right now is Daniel Eberhard and Andrew Freenach. So I don't know what's underneath those Battle Beaver machines. Man, I love saying Battle Beaver. But they're flying, man. They're flying.
Pretty sure beavers can't fly.
I think they can if you throw them hard enough.
If you that Pino wants a word with you, my friend. Holy cow! If you throw them hard enough.
Yeah, if you toss it up in the air.
That's one of my national animals. What's wrong with you?
The trajectory of a beaver would be what I would look at. Is how much of an angle do you have to kind of like play like fetch? And I love beavers. I want to catch one. I caught a duck. That's the best animal I've caught that's wild. I did catch a duck. It took me about 30 minutes, but I caught that duck.
I don't know if I would go out actively trying to catch an animal that's on a nickel, but it is what it is. We all love
I like
robins.
ducks. I like ducks.
I apparently like chasing robins away from the side of racetracks.
It was a hurt duck. We took care of the duck.
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, we took care of the duck. The duck is now in a beautiful home, and his wing is all fixed up. It was a gorgeous duck. I think I took a picture of it somewhere.
I appreciate the sentiment there, Connery, my friend. I really do. Oh, boy. It's been a night, but there's still a lot of racing left to go. We are over halfway through tonight's All-Star race. So let's go through the SK Sim Racing full field rundown on the side of your leaderboards. Thankfully, it all fits under one very neat timing line. Jeremy Miller still in race leading after Wow, English is hard apparently. Still leading the race after he took it early on. Daniel Eberhardt, 16th place where he started. He's now up to second. Freenach even further back, 19th. He's now in third. William Schmidt is in fourth. Sean Casto, short ways back, is down in fifth. You've got Benazzi Major in sixth. He's battling now big time with Cody Harris for the last spot outside the top 5, with Kyle Kamer in 8th, Tom Wetmore in 9th, and Connor Horn in 10th as the battle for 6th rages on.
Yeah, you got Ross Cato in 11th, Brian Chambliss in 12th, Brandon 6th in 13th, and then you go, he is 1 lap down, Agnell Phillip 2 laps down and out of the race. Johnson, Bowie, Sheen, Stanford, McBride, and Silver. And McBride came into the chat very easily and said, I've hit everything but the pace car. And that you did. You did. And kudos, because that's a record, I think.
And that will wrap up your SK Sim Racing midway race break. SK Sim Racing is an iRacing team and channel with an emphasis on reaching those who are new to the oval sim racing world. You can find them online at facebook.com/SK Sim Racing and on Twitter at SK Sim Racing 1. RaceSpot Champions Race at sksimgear.com. Nailed it.
You nailed it that time. That was good. That was good. You had pressure on you, too.
I didn't have to hesitate that time to figure out what I was going to say next.
I like it. You know what else I like? The Battle Beaver to the death. Come on, Battle Beaver drivers, catch the 13 and win. It's what Tommy said out there. They're catching him, and they're catching him quick. They were 2 seconds back at one point in time in this race. It's now 0.8 of a second for Daniel Eberhardt and Andrew Freenach, who have driven through this field. They're there, and now I think it's going to be a battle between the Beavers.
And that's the other thing I wanted to point out. Not only have the top 2, whoa! Look out, Kamer sideways, sliding it on the front straightaway. Caution is out. Great save from Kyle Kamer to keep that thing out of the inside wall.
Oh, he saved it. How did you not touch the wall? Somebody clip that and send it to iRacing. Holy smokes, what a save. Look at him wheeling that thing.
Evidently, SK Sim Racing wasn't done having their name featured somewhere on the broadcast, as Kyle Kamer gave our front face camera from turn 1 a face full of it. Here's on board. Watch the wheel work. Cranks that. I didn't even crank that thing hard to the left. As soon as that was pointed back towards the outside wall, he just locked it down and let it ride.
What a save. Already got damage to the right side of that machine. But, Kyle Larson, hold my beer, what he said. Look at him. And I noticed something pretty interesting when we were going on board with him. Look at that, yeah.
That's a great shot.
He shifted to second. He shifted down and just kept going. And then he was like, hey, let me get the back wheel spinning a little bit. Keep her off the wall. If you lock it down, you just back right into the wall. You don't want to do that, but whoa, what a save. Oh, that was impressive.
And Jeremy Miller, I think, just beat Daniel Eberhardt out of pit road. Freenach, though, in some pretty big trouble. He's fallen back several spots. He's going to be starting this one in 5th.
I don't think that matters. Benazzi Major, Casto is going to hold in front. They took 2. Yeah, it was 2 tires stopped. Freenach, I believe, is the only one right here that is going to be on all 4 tires. So I don't know how much tires are going to matter here, because if my calculation is correct, the rights burn more than the lefts. So if you just change right side tires, you got to put some heat in them, like you see the 52 of Casto doing right there, trying to get them warmed up. You don't want to spin them here. And look at the stop time, 7.9 to 14. So there's a couple in here. There's a lot of 4 tires behind these drivers.
Tell you what, Daniel Eberhardt could be starting this race from pole, but he is not going to because of a mistake that he made on pit road. Jeremy Miller went deep into his pit box, had to reverse. Daniel Eberhardt would have easily beaten him out if he hadn't done the exact same thing. They were dead even, and I mean probably less than a couple of thousandths separated them at the pit exit line.
When the money's on the line, Nolan, you make mistakes, and even the best make mistakes. I make a mistake in broadcasting. I mean, it happens all the time. But for those 2 drivers, they still came out 1-2. Granted, they took 2 tires, and this is going to be interesting to see. but the pay window's about to open. If no more cautions come out, this is it. Like, this is it. So only changing one side of the tires changes the balance of the car. And Sam, you're absolutely right. But does it change it for the better, or does it change it for the worse? We're going to find out with what Jeremy Miller does here with the top 4 on 2 tires.
Miller once again has opted for the top line. Now his shenanigans of jumping early have worked on William Schmidt time and time again. This is the first time, though, that he's going to be having the likes of Daniel Eberhardt starting alongside him. We will see if the Battle Beavers Mustang will be fooled as easily. To the restart zone, Miller launches early, and this time Daniel Eberhardt does sort of catch him. He launched at the same time, but unfortunately didn't anticipate it good enough to stay alongside in the dash to 1.
Yeah, the back 2 tires didn't really light up there.
Oh, here we go.
Ooh. Yeah, well, he kept it real and kept it straight, shockingly enough. Caught the wall, but here we go. Now we're side by side, the 79. Freenage there, Schmidt up on the outside, 4 tires on the bottom. Schmidt also took 4 tires, so who gets the run? At that time it's Freenage. Now he has to track them down.
Still got drivers battling now, being in behind. Connor Horn looks to the inside of Tom Wetmore in the dash for 6th place to turn number 1. Horn's going to get loose, though, out of the second turn, and that lets Wetmore clear for that 6th spot for now. And right behind them, Brian Chambliss still trying to hang on to a top 10 result as well tonight, as Ross Cato looks set to try and charge up behind him as well. But, of course, now, points race means that you really don't get anything fight for these positions because, well, what's the prize for 10th place in an all-star race? There is none.
Hey, a top 10's a top 10. In my book, a top 10's a top 10. But here comes Andrew Freenage to the inside. Looked just for a second on Benazzi Major. Major's really loose there in that middle groove. Now Freenage is going to make an attempt at it and run it a little bit low. So who makes what? And you're running out of time if you're Freenage because you don't want the tires to balance themselves out. You need to make quick work of the drivers in front of you. And one more yellow flag, Agnell Phillip gets back on the lead lap, who was the fastest car and still is one of the fastest cars on the racetrack as the 82 touches the wall.
Freenage still trying to close on in. This is what I was wanting to talk about before that caution with Kyle Kamer. Yeah, you had Freenage and Eberhardt both catching up to Jeremy Miller, but more importantly, Freenage was closing the gap even more to Eberhardt. But now, Benazzi Major is really slowing Freenage down, and you can tell Freenage has so much more speed underneath them before, and now they side by side. He can't go anywhere. It's so hard to pass on the inside line. He's going to have to get clear, and maybe then we'll see some of that real speed that the 88 car has underneath him properly unleashed as he tries to chase down Daniel Eberhardt for the second place and maybe even an all-star win. Major not done fighting this one now. To the top side. He's going to get hit, though, by William Schmidt out of turn 2 down the back straightaway. And so far, Benazzi Major hangs on, though now you can see Freenage start to pull away. 25 to go as Schmidt looks for 4th.
Yeah, Smith's going to get down there on the bottom side and try to get it. The 82 touched the wall just slightly again. These cars can take a beating, and the fairgrounds will give you a beating. I can tell you that much. And now, right, what you got Wetmore jumping to the outside. He does have a lot of speed. He has speed to get up here and run. He's ran a 19-1 that time in traffic. You know, he's got opportunities to get up here. Oh, he's in the wall. I'm jinxing him. Hey, he's still running though. He's side by side still for the 6th place position.
Schmidt will clear Benazzi Major for 4th place. Connor Horn wants to punch his way into the top 5 as well. Tom Wetmore gets really crossed up out of turn 3. And he'll be passed up by Cody Harris while Major once again tries to look to the inside of Connor Horn. Won't happen though. And in fact, almost gets into the outside wall. Wetmore still battling with Cody Harris for 7th and 8th place. And Wetmore will bobble on corner exit of 2, but so does Harris with the inside lane already. Tire wear started to kick in with these drivers. 22, make it 21. Laps left to go. Single file. but not for long once again as Cody Harris tries, as he might, to find a way through.
Yeah, for the leaders up here, Daniel Eberhardt's falling off of Jeremy Miller just ever so slightly. It started out he would gain a 10th here and there. Now he's losing about a 100th, 200th here, a little bit off the exit. Freenage really isn't catching him. If you're Andrew Freenage, it's time to boot, scoot, and buggy. You're in Nashville. It's time to two-step your way to a victory. You got four brand new boots on that thing. Get up there and do-si-do. If you got a do-si-do, Jeremy Miller, to get the All-Star win, hey, send him in and sing us some Brooks and Dunn while you're doing it. You're going to have to make it happen. And for Daniel Eberhardt, he's catching him now. It took him a minute, but now he's starting to get his grits about him. Getting up there, half a second. Can kind of shred it down on the entry. A little diving in there. But, hey, if you get to that back bumper, the dive bomb is the only way to go here.
Tom Wetmore executed just such a dive bomb on the inside of Venanzi Major into turn number 1. If he made it stick, Venanzi Major now has to try to fend off Cody Harris as he starts to get freight trade and falls further and further down the order. This is all the battle for 6th on back, now 7th on back as Wetmore breaks away. Harris, Major, Kamer, Cato, and Chambliss all still in one long line, and neither of them willing to let the other breathe at the moment. That's not the only battle that's gotten close, as once again the battle for the race lead starting to close on in as well. You got drivers dodging and dicing everywhere you look throughout the racetrack. Daniel Eberhardt right to the back bumper of Jeremy Miller that last time by in 3 and 4.
Yeah, looking at the lap times, he's a 10th faster. That time he was exactly 1/10 faster, 19.2 to a 19.1. And if you want to hear the other parts, 19.25 to 19.14. That time, Eberhardt got just a tick tight through the corner there, going through 3 and 4. Couldn't get it in, but he's diving it in. You see him sailing it on in the corner. He knows he has to make this move, and he's allowing Jeremy Miller to get the run off the exit. We'll see what he does here in 3 and 4. Goes back to the middle. He's backing it down, guns it. He tries to get the car as straight as possible to not let the rear slip out of here, and then he'll dive it back into 1, wash it up the track, try to make the move, and maybe he could try to push Jeremy Miller a little tight here.
So many battles still on the racetrack and so little time to decide them all. We are in the final quarter of this race, and no doubt none of the battles in this field are far from over. Andrew Freenage has slowly been trying to turn up the wick in his Battle Beaver number 88 Mustang in the rear of the field, but so far, well, his lap times have been trending a little bit further upwards. He has been overall faster than the top 2, but with only 11 coming to 10 laps to go, I don't think he's going to get there nearly in time to actually battle for a race win, as Connor Horn hangs on against Tom Wetmore for 5th.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the lap times here at 19.5, 19.4. So really not wowing the page, but he's wowing it where it counts. He's under a second. So he's making time up where he needs to make it. He's making it in the center of the corner, off exit. He's really able to not dive bomb it. He's able to kind of roll through the center, get the run off the exit. He stays in 1 second even there, but he'll fall down to about 9/10 of a second when he goes into the corner itself. And then the run off, that time was great. Now the battle for the lead really has heated up because Eberhardt's there. It's 1/10 of a second, and he can smell the opportunity to get up there and beat and bang with Jeremy Miller.
Got alongside that last time by between 1 and 2, but it wasn't close enough to make something stick. Now he's got to try to close in that gap all over again with just over a quarter of a second separating your top 2. Jeremy Miller still with the lead. Eberhardt down in second. Miller has held on to the lead in commanding fashion since he took it early in the race, and now looks set to try and go one better and win it again here in the All-Star race. The question is, does he have the pace to hang on for 5.5 more laps?
And not if the 88's got anything to say about it, because I said he wasn't throwing wow laps on the board. Sam Nieto was absolutely correct that he's not out here putting qualifying flyers down like your 2 leaders were there at first. He saved the tires. He's a 10th faster each and every time they come around the track. We'll see what the lap times are when they get the 4 fingers in the air, because Dre putting it down for California apparently. They come across the line here, and even with the leader, 19.6 kept it the exact same way for 0.6 of a second.
Oh,
no!
Eberhard slides out and pounds the wall. Andrew Friedoff sweeps through to second place, and I think that might be the break that Jeremy Miller so desperately needed.
Tried hard to get it there. You throw it all on the line for the All-Star race, pulls it inside, thinks he can make it. You see the brakes glowing red right there, and when he comes off the exit of the corner, just tried to gun it and just could not save it, and it checked up Freenage, but now it's 0.6 of a second, now half a second for the race lead.
Half a second, and it's closing fast, but is it closing fast enough? Freenage is giving it everything. Down to 4.5, 4/10. Freenage not close enough still. White flag in the air. This race is over on this next lap as Jeremy Miller continues to try to hang on. Back straight over the final time. Freenage sends it into turn 3, but he's not gonna get there. Jeremy Miller hangs on and wins the 2022 Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series All-Star Race.
You nailed it that time when it counted the most, just like Jeremy Miller, who took the lead early and never looked back. That SimRacingEdge.com Chevy was bad fast, and he put on a show for the fans at home, put on a show for us, and absolutely dominated the fairgrounds. What a show from the 13.
Congratulations given by Connor Horn as Miller starts to burn it down on the front straightaway. A very deserving winner. He led almost every single lap and held on against 2 of the best that Real Sim Racing had to offer. Let's take a rundown of your official results from the All-Star race at the Nashville Fairgrounds as Jeremy Miller continues to celebrate down to the front straightaway. Jeremy Miller, race winner for Extreme Performance Motorsports Whiskey. Andrew Freenage will finish second place, just 0.3 down the road. Who knows? One lap, what could have been? Daniel Eberhard finishes in 3rd place on the podium. We'll talk to all of them in just a few moments. With Will Schmidt in 4th, Tom Wetmore in 5th, Connor Horn is 6th, Cody Harris is 7th. We got Kyle Kamer in 8th, Renata Major in 9th, Brian Chambliss rounds out the top 10.
And go back here to P number 11 with Ross Cato. And then you go down to laps down. Agnell Phillip ended up just, retiring it on. They finished in 12th. Sean Casto in 13th, 32 down. Brandon 6 caught up in a wreck. Michael Johnson, Brandon Bowie. Liam Sheen had a DoorDash. Still haven't heard what he ate there. Rhett McBride, he said it himself. He had everything out there in the Steel Horse Racing Chevrolet. Eric Stanford, Nick Silver in the Fords round out 19th and 20th respectively.
This is a little bit weird that you have so many cars so far, so many laps down, but everybody ahead of the guys that didn't finish were on the lead lap.
Yeah, it was
especially
a little,
short track like this.
If you stay in this angle here, boys, you can see my house right over there where the lightning looks like it's going.
Well, it is now time to get a talk to the top 3 at the end of the day. And we'll kick things off with our very deserving winner. Jeremy Miller joins us up here in the broadcast booth. Jeremy, holy cow, what a drive for you tonight. Took that lead early, and you managed to hold on against 2 of RSR's best. Walk us through how you got it done.
I am trying to get it sorted out. I am sorry, guys. Just 1 second.
Oh, no problem at all. We'll cut back to Jeremy then once he's got his thing sorted out here. And we'll move on to the, well, actually, let's start from the bottom. We'll work our way up. We'll kick things off instead with Daniel Eberhard, 3rd place finisher. And Daniel, You had it. You were right there, and it was a mistake in the very late stages. What happened?
Trying to get too much out of it when it wasn't there in the car. So, uh, I hate it. I hate it for Battle Beaver. I hate it for my team. I hate it for the team. There's your meme there for the night. It's frustrating. I mean, it is so frustrating running a one-lane racetrack. It is just there's where do you get them? You know, you're waiting for them to make a mistake, but this car just has so much forgiveness to it. When you make a mistake, you just keep the power down. It just keeps it going. I don't understand. I wish there was something we could switch with the tire or something. I wish there was a compound that iRacing could find where the tire actually wears out a little bit. You don't see that on the given Sundays when they race, and I would think a short track it'd even wear even more with more camber in the car, but it just wasn't. There was no wear, and the guy who started out front, led all the laps. There was no passing.
Well, you did manage to make your way up from 16th place on the grid to an impressive third. Why don't you talk to us about what it was like being so difficult to pass, working your way up steadily throughout the field tonight?
Yeah, you just kind of had to work somebody over. I don't know who you all were watching when Ross Cato and Kyle Kamer were side by side, but if you don't have somebody down there who can get the run off the corner, you're not going to pass him on the top. And Cato was, rolling the top a little bit more. You kind of got to force the car around the track, and that makes it, very, very awful to drive. And when you're having to be forceful, there's no finesse to it at all. You just got to kind of grip the wheel and turn it down in the corner, and you got to really get on it and cross your hands and hope it doesn't get loose on the exit. And that's what was frustrating today. But I mean, all in all, the Battle Beaver Ford Mustang was pretty good. I mean, it was fun to drive. It's just when you're one lane racing, that's what you're going to get.
And with the All-Star race now behind us, we go back to points racing again. It'll be the Life of a Sim Racer 300 for 200 laps around the Charlotte Motor Speedway next week. What's your thoughts coming over to arguably one of the toughest races on the year?
I'm really excited. I'm excited to be back. I know I had a meltdown over there at Bristol and got myself suspended, and that was out of character of me. Well, to everybody else in the league, it's not out of character, but to me, for how I've grown as a sim racer and through progressions, I feel like that was out of character for me. So, in this time of day, now if you go back about 4 years ago, probably not, but I don't let it get to me as much anymore, and I did that night just because I think the frustration was boiling over. But I'm pretty excited for Charlotte. Man, I just hate it. I hate that I couldn't get it done tonight in the All Star race. I want to click off these little moments, like, I mean, I don't know how much longer. Usually, the older you get, some of this stuff dies off, your body wise or gaming wise, period. I mean, I see my buddy Dylan Jones, he's going through it right now where he needs to be testing more because his body's not acclimated to keep this moving. You know how we do this. I mean, you see it every day. Look at Ray Alfali. He's not as good as he once was. So you're just waiting on them days to click off. And, man, I just hate we couldn't get it done tonight.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to get it done next week at the Life of Sim Racer 300. Thank you anyway for taking the time out of your night to join us here tonight, Daniel, and hopefully we'll be having some better luck for you next week.
Thank you, buddy.
As Daniel Eberhard joining us from third place on the grid. Very disappointed when he was right there, and a mistake of his own doing cost him a potential win tonight. For another driver, though, if only he could have done a little bit more in those final laps, and even if he had another two, maybe, just maybe, he'd have had something for him. Andrew Friedosh, 9th, 10th to 2nd for him. You're standing by with our runner-up, Terry.
Andrew Friedosh, I have tough questions for you.
Yep, go ahead.
Would you have wrecked him for the win in the All-Star race?
No, you're gonna call me not fun, but I would not have.
Oh.
It's just not my style. I don't think I was gonna get there anyway.
Would you have at least put the chrome horn to him? That Mustang was fast, and he had 4 freshies on it.
Yeah, probably still not. I got him last week, not even trying, and still feel stupid about it. So I don't think I'd do that again.
Well, I figured I'd ask the tough questions first. And how big were your eyes when you saw Daniel there losing it, tapping the wall or smacking the wall? And you could have easily been collected in that.
Yeah, starting in the back like that, we had a bunch of those moments. We were on and off of pit road, it felt like 6-7 times. So, we seen it before. There was a whole bunch of times that happened coming through the field, and I mean, it was kind of like keep your foot in it because that's the only way we might be able to get to Jeremy, and we made it through that, and still couldn't get there. So, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, well, we have fun tonight. Obviously, the fairgrounds isn't what's on the schedule in the real world, but we go to Charlotte, right? We go there. I hear you're very fast there, and every time we come into a show, we come into a production meeting. Evan and Nolan go. Andrew Freenage was more than likely the race winner before. So, can you go into the life of a sim racer race at Charlotte and put it on them? Because you got 300 miles. Is it your race to lose? Or are you calling your Babe Ruth shot here tonight with us?
I'd love to do that, but I don't have this car figured out. There's a lot of guys, Kevin King and Agnell and Daniel, and I mean, I'm gonna miss 20 people, but there's so many people that can win this year. You can't do that. And that track we've had success at, but I really don't like it. I'm not a big fan of it, so I can't tell you why we've had success in the past, but we have. So I like the longer races, definitely better. We get some green flag runs, but there's no telling what can happen, especially with this car. There's still question marks on it, even this far into the season we are. So, I look forward to the long race. And other than that, I mean, we just got to practice and see where we end up.
Well, normally, Andrew, when a driver tells a broadcaster, I don't really like the track. They normally go out and win. So my money's on you to win next week. But anybody you want to talk to, man, you finished second in the All Star race. You come up one spot short. Anybody out there you want to say what's up to?
Yeah, big thanks to Battle Beaver for jumping on the car. If anybody's looking for custom Xbox, PlayStation, GameCube controllers, go check them out. That's Battle Beaver. They stepped on the car this year, and I'm so thankful to have them. And big thanks to Tom. All you guys do with broadcast, Evan for all he does with the league. I love running. All the drivers, it was a lot of fun tonight. Had a green flag run once we were done crashing there. So, and all the fans, I hope you put on a good show. And it was fun, inverting the field and driving through it. And I hope everybody enjoyed it out there.
Well, heck yeah, buddy. We'll see you next week at Charlotte. Can't wait to see 300 miles, and hopefully, when you go back and rewatch this broadcast, you get you get to see a little fun out here, and that's what we try to do. But Andrew Freenage, P2 here this afternoon. Nolan, I is Jeremy got his headset figured out here?
He does. He does.
Well, I guess that's good news for us there on that one, and we'll see if we can't try again with our race winner tonight. Jimmy Miller, you got us this time?
Yeah, I got it figured out.
There we go. Now we got everything all well and sorted. Well, you come home and I was saying it before, you held off two of RSR's best tonight. Why don't you walk us through how you got it done?
Yeah, obviously track position was huge, especially with all the early yellows. Helped me keep the lead early, but I mean, I let it flag the flag with a couple of long runs in there, so I was surprised by that speed. I think the biggest thing for me tonight was the rear drive off the corners was really, really loose, and I actually ran most of the night in fifth, just trying to keep those rears on it. I actually don't think I came out of fourth gear until probably the last 10, or out of fifth gear into fourth until the last 10 laps of the race, just trying to hold off Daniel. And doing that helped me keep enough rear on it to be able to drive off the corner harder than he could. And eventually he just lost it there on the bottom at the exit of two. And it was pretty much just smooth sailing from there. Just had to manage to gap to Drew and not make any mistakes.
So what was it like for you kind of going out there overall as a whole? This track is not one that the RSR visits all too frequently, and it is one of the more taxing racetracks to drive on the iRacing service.
Yeah, I mean, when Evan put out there a bunch of short tracks, I was like, well, I ain't winning the All Star race this year. So I was definitely probably going into tonight fairly pessimistic about my chances. Just unfolded the right way, I guess. I think one of the big things here is like a lot of these guys practice a lot throughout the week, and I typically don't. And we come to a track like this where most people have no experience with this car and track combo. I think that helps me show where I can be stronger as a driver versus these guys that have 1,000 laps on a given week and go out there and kick my butt every Monday night.
And well, obviously next week it's one of the biggest races on the year, the Life of a Sim Racer 300, 200 laps at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. What are your thoughts coming on over into that one?
I've had anything but a good season so far this year, so hopefully going back to a points race next week, I can carry a little momentum from here and just run good. That's really what we need right now. I think if we start piecing together top 10, top 5 runs, points could still be a possibility to get ourselves in, but otherwise it's going to take a win. And I won here tonight, so I guess I could go out there and win somewhere else theoretically. There's a few good tracks left me from the schedule. I'm obviously going to be looking forward to Daytona at the end of the season. I got a few plate wins over here in RSR, including Daytona 250 last year. So just gonna try to make a push for the playoffs.
And hopefully we'll be seeing you in the playoffs and in victory lane once again in just 1 week. Thank you for joining us tonight here, Jeremy, and, well, best of luck in the 300.
Yeah, thank you. I just real quick want to give a shout out to all the guys at Ed Setup Shop coming on board, Extreme Performance Motorsports, and you guys put on a great broadcast. Evan put on an incredible league, and everybody out there watching.
Well, that was Jeremy Miller joining us then for tonight's post-race coverage here from the National Fairgrounds Speedway. The 2022 All-Star Race was like a lot of the others, though at a very different venue. As always, really did not disappoint, huh, Terry?
No, it didn't. It absolutely didn't disappoint. We saw a lot of wrecks. We saw a lot of incidents going around here. And hey, who's that good-looking guy with an orange shirt on? Hey, it's me. Nolan, you're good-looking too. But it was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to see the fairgrounds come in style. It came out here. It proved why NASCAR should come to the fairgrounds. That super speedway is cool and all over there in Lebanon, but this is racing. Short track racing, beating and banging. If we can go to a coliseum, we can go to the fairgrounds. So NASCAR, let's make it happen. Nashville Fairgrounds 2023.
And then obviously next week it will be the longest race that we go to on the RSR calendar. It's the My Life of a Sim Racer 300 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. 200 laps. That is going to be a real test of endurance for all of these drivers out there in this field. But hopefully we'll be seeing not too many cautions unlike last year, and we'll be able to find ourselves with some significant green flag runs. We won't have another one of those races end based off of time. Well, speaking of time, that's all the time we're going to have for one day. Want to thank, of course, Terry Radford for joining us for RSR Action, as well as Connor Maddock for filling in tonight while Efrosoko worked behind the scenes. So for myself, Nolan Remble, Terry Radford, and Connor and Maddock, want to thank every one of our viewers for joining us for more brilliant Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series action. We'll see you all next week when we go racing in Charlotte.